Hi there, friends. Welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. This past week we celebrated Earth Day, but I dare say that every day is Earth Day because we should be mindful of the things that can hurt the planet daily. One of those things that we have been talking about is plastic pollution and what can be done. You may be asking,
how are we supposed to achieve this big goal of stopping plastic pollution? Well, there are three things. One, we need to phase out all single-use plastic.
I think we're well on our way with that one. At least I hope so. What else?
And we must end fast fashion.
Oh, the fashionistas will not like that one. But let's look at our options. We take care of the planet. We get to live on it longer. We don't, and not only do we die, but our quality of life even before death will be impacted. But I remember Mrs. Moody saying three things. What's the other?
We also need to invest in innovative technologies and materials because we need to what? Build a plastic-free world.
Do you think it's possible? We can't, not alone. We need every single Jamaican marching to the same beat. And because we are one people, I know it's possible. We have a brand new lineup just for you and you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Data from the National Road Safety Council shows that 90% of motorcyclists who die on our roads were not wearing a helmet. Don't let that be you. Wearing a helmet could save you and your pillion's life. In the event of a crash, the helmet can protect you against severe head injuries. Wearing a helmet can also help to reduce wind noise and light rays while driving. Let's work to reduce the carnage on our roads. Wear a helmet, ride safely.
There are some motorists who tend to do what we want, whenever we want. But when it comes to road use, this, much like everything else, cannot work. There are rules, and they are put in place for our safety and protection. Neglect them, and the end could be the end. Assistant Commissioner of Police Gary Mackenzie is here to give us a refresher as he breaks down the new road traffic regulations.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. The Road Traffic Act 2018 and the Road Traffic Regulations 2022 were implemented on February 1, 2023. Regulations under the new Road Traffic Act cover areas such as motor vehicle fitness, registration and licensing, as well as construction of and equipment for motor vehicles, licensing drivers, certification of driving instructors and licensing of driving schools, traffic signs, speed limits, rules of the road, all of this. So for the next few minutes, we will share details on the various aspects of the new regulations. Here with us to share those details on Get the Facts is Assistant Commissioner of Police Gary Mackenzie, who also heads the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch of the JCF, PSTEP. Welcome to the program, ACP Mackenzie. All right, ACP Mackenzie, let's jump right into getting the facts. Now, these rules and regulations have been updated. Can you give us a general sense of why the updates were necessary and some of the newer rules that may not be so familiar?
Right, so the previous Road Traffic Act and regulations have been around for quite some time, as far back as 1938.
That is quite some time.
That is quite some time, and despite some amendments along the way, there was need for a more comprehensive, modern Road Traffic Act. Right. And as a result of that, the 2018 Road Traffic Act came into being. Now, there are certain changes that have been made, and this is meant to actually improve public safety and road safety. And so there are fines that were improved in terms of costs. There were demerit points that were also improved on some of the different offenses as well.
Right, right.
And there were some offenses that were revamped, and there were some new offenses that came along. And in addition to that, some supporting, what I would say, attendant issues surrounding some of the offenses, those were improved or broadened. And I'll go very quickly to the driver's license, for example.
Yes, please.
Right. So previously, well, we have 3 classes of driver's license: motorcycles, motor cars, and motor trucks.
Right.
Previously, one could just get a provisional driver's license, which is a learner's license, and then, and in their own time, that would last maybe for a year. It could be renewed, but they would go and actually make an appointment and get a driver's license.
Okay.
However, under the new act, the year after one gets a driver's license,
Any of the 3.
or even before any of the 3, what has to be done is a road. They have to do a test to ascertain that they have knowledge of the Road Traffic Act.
Okay.
And when during the period,
Wait, ACP Magazine, let me just jump in here. So this isn't a driving test, it's a knowledge of the Road Traffic Act
it's a knowledge
test.
of the Road Traffic Act test. And this is very important because previously a lot of persons would attain their driver's license without good background knowledge. So
Understood.
this is an attempt to improve that. There's also the situation where after someone gets a driver's license, within the first year, there are some restrictions. For example, one should not be driving over 80 kilometers per hour. One should not be driving whilst under the influence of alcohol, measuring over 10 micrograms per 100 milliliters
Oh, wow. Okay.
of breath.
Right.
So the normal driver over 1 year can have up to 35, but it is 10 for a person driving within a year. So that is also a change. The new act, of course, it looks very seriously at ensuring that charging or prosecuting persons are made much easier. For example, under the old act, the police could not issue a ticket for careless driving. That has changed.
Okay.
So the police can now issue a ticket, someone can actually pay a fine or attend court.
For recklessness.
So those are 2 main improvements.
All right. I want to talk some more about that. You've touched a little bit on making the police's job easier, but we're not going there yet. Just hold on. Tell me about how does the new act treat with defective vehicles and vehicles with alterations on them?
So there are a number of things that has to happen with motor vehicles in terms of fitness. Of course, the Road Traffic Act, it clearly states that for a vehicle to be on the road, it must be passed fit.
Right.
And what that means is that the certifying examiner from the Island Traffic Authority would actually inspect the vehicle and issue a document indicating that the vehicle is fit and proper to be on the road.
Right.
For normal vehicles, meaning domestic vehicles, it lasts for a year.
Okay.
For public passenger vehicles, it is for 6 months. Now, what that simply means is that your mechanical and electrical apparatus of the vehicle need to be up to date.
What about safety implements like
Also,
mirrors? And
right, I'm coming to that. So, of course, that operates electrically, which is a mirror and so on, for newer type vehicles nowadays.
Okay.
Right? And apart from that, the frame of the vehicle itself is very important. So it's not just the mechanics and the electrical, but also the frame itself. It has to conform to the particular standards of safety, etc. So they ensure that. Apart from that, the Act also gives the authority to the ITA, supported by the police, to do ongoing inspections where necessary. And the plates can be removed if vehicles become defective during the time of even when the certificate of fitness is still in force.
You're talking like on-the-road spot checks?
On-the-road spot checks.
Okay.
Now, what is also important, that as it relates to commercial and public passenger vehicles, the standards are higher if for want of a better term.
Right.
Because when one is operating a public passenger vehicle, you are talking about moving 10, 20, 30 persons at a time.
Yeah.
So the standards, they actually check for those. And the Transport Authority that has the primary role of ensuring that those type of vehicles conform to the standards, they also do concurrent checks as well.
Got you, got you. All right, ACP Mackenzie, we're going to go to a break very quickly, but if I can just ask you a yes or no question. We've spoken about licensing and demerits and suspensions. You mentioned those in the first thing. Is there any way that a driver can treat with demerits and suspensions? Is that fixable?
It is fixable.
It's fixable.
Right.
All right. We're going to go right to a quick break. We're going to continue speaking about that. And when we come back, ACP Mackenzie will tell us more about critical things to note in the new road traffic regulations and the increased fines for breaches. Stay with us.
Did you know that almost every piece of plastic that you have ever used still exists? A plastic bag, for example, takes about 20 years to break down. But the toothbrush that we use every day takes 500 years. And so, how are we supposed to achieve this big goal of stopping plastic pollution? We need to phase out all single-use plastics. Jamaica has been reducing our plastic bags, our straws, we have food containers, and we're now focusing on microbeads. Those are the small things that you have in your cosmetic products. And we must end fast fashion. You know that those cheap clothing, when we look at those brands, they come out very quickly and we think that it's, it's cheap. But the fact is, how they are produced, what they are made from often includes plastic, and we throw them away very quickly because they don't last long. We also need to invest in innovative technologies and materials because we need to what? Build a plastic-free world. We can spread awareness about environmental movement. Your voice matters, your social media click and like and share also matters because it means that more of that information spreads more widely.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're continuing our conversation with Head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch of the JCF, ACP Gary Mackenzie, and we're discussing Jamaica's new road traffic regulations. ACP Mackenzie, let's pick up where we left off. You mentioned the whole system of demerit points, and you said it could be addressed if a motorist falls afoul of this. Could you give us a brief run through how?
Okay, so as we were discussing, there are some offenses that attract demerit points.
Right.
For example, if you disobey a continuous white line, there are 2 points that are attracted to that. Now, that point, it is registered on your driver's license when you pay the fine or if you go to court and is convicted.
Okay.
That will be removed after 15 months, each point that you get.
Without a reoccurrence?
Whether or not.
Okay.
So it is the last offense that carries the point that after 15 months, that will be removed. So that is how it works. Now, it is very important for motorists to know that if you attract 10 points, then your license will be suspended for 6 months. And if it goes to 14, then it's 1 year. There are some offenses that it goes straight to 1 year in terms of conviction. So say, for example, you are charged for driving with excess alcohol on your breath. If you are convicted, it is automatically 14 points. So your driver's license will be suspended for 1 year.
Okay. We had touched on this in the first half, but I want to touch on it again. People like to modify their cars. You know, add lights here, add this there, mess with some of the things that come with a stock car. How does the new regulations treat with this?
Well, the regulations is quite clear in terms of how persons need to have their motor vehicle conform to the law. So, for example, lights, persons like to have a lot of pretty lights and so on. So what they do, they change the headlights and the indicators and even the brake lights to different color. We see green, pink, and so on. But the regulations...
Or all the above.
Are all of the above.
Right.
The regulations is quite clear. So, for example, your headlights, it ought to be white, or it may be mild yellow, but more whitish. Your rear lights should be red, your reverse lights should be white, and your indicators should be amber in color. There is no other color allowed for those. Some persons, for example, trucks will put on some very small lights that we call auxiliary lights. Those are not really unlawful, but the ampere need to be lower than the main lights.
So it's not too bright.
Right, so if they shine equally with those lights, then it becomes unlawful.
Okay. So that's very interesting, because now that you look at those things and people modify their cars in certain ways, is there any problem with safety when it comes to these modifications?
There are some problems with safety, because the truth is that if...
and sorry, ACP Mackenzie, let's toss in tints as well for the lights.
Right, and I just want to finish off lights, because another problem with lights is that persons are mimicking emergency vehicles by putting on, different color lights on the top of their vehicles, and we see that with some of the taxi operators. So the blue flashing lights, those are reserved for the police, red for ambulance and fire brigade. The amber or white for large units. So say, for example, these large trucks and so on. And some vehicles will get special permit to move, but those have to be moved with pilots and guides, right? So that is very important to note. You mentioned tint. What we are seeing is that a lot of persons are putting on very dark tint on their vehicles, and when persons do that, to include putting on tint on the windscreen, that is very dangerous, especially at nights, because it will reduce your vision. And I want to say that for public passenger vehicles especially, dark tints should not be allowed. And in recent times, we have acquired some tint meters that we are actually utilizing. It is being used to aid us. But not only the Road Traffic Act and regulations supports proper use or, not using tint in a certain manner, but also the Transport Authority Act. So that is very important to note.
I want to end with cyclists and pedestrian safety, because they use the road as well. Any provisions in the law for that?
Definitely. Previously, we did not have it scripted out in law what pedestrians are to do. Now it is there. It is scripted in the Road Traffic Act as to how the pedestrian is expected to utilize the roadway, albeit there are no offenses as yet, but that is a move in the right direction. As it relates to motorcyclists, the law is much more stringent, and it is to be recognized that the rules and laws governing motor cars and trucks are the same for motorcycles. And so we are doing a lot more work, continued work in terms of administration for motorcycles, because we want the importance of them using the road to be as much as motor cars and trucks, because they are the vulnerable road users.
Understood. ACP Mackenzie, you've given us a lot to think about, and you've given us a lot of facts. And road users, both pedestrians and motorists, are watching right now. Just for the last few seconds of this interview, What would you say to them?
Well, what I would say to motorists and all road users is that we are not in a good place right now. So far, we have lost 125 persons on the road, which is just 3 less than last year. We are losing about over one person a day for road, in terms of road fatalities. And this is something we need to correct. What we have observed is that a lot of persons, especially young men between the ages of 18 to 39, are making very poor decisions by overtaking improperly, driving at excessive speeds, and utilizing motorcycles in the wrong manner. It is very important that we take road safety personally, as a personal responsibility. And we as a community, we need to appeal to all of us to ensure that when we utilize the road, we do so safely so that we can preserve our lives.
Road safety is everybody's business. ACP Mackenzie, where can we find these regulations online?
They can be found on the Ministry of Justice website, the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, and excerpts of that can be found on the JCF website as well. And it can be purchased at Duke Street at the printing office.
All right, so that's 4 different locations, and we can be in the know on how to properly use our roadways. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been the head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch of the JCF, ACP Gary Mackenzie. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care, and please stay safe on our roads.
The Joint Select Committee of Parliament reviewing the Domestic Violence Act wants to hear from you. Review the Act and share your opinions with the committee. You can find a copy of the Act on the Parliament's website at www.japarliament.gov.jm under the heading Publications. Once you have reviewed the Act, submit your written opinions by Tuesday, April 30, 2024 to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or clerk@japarliament.gov.jm. Let your voice be heard.
Husband and father Gawain James lost his job as he began to battle with health issues. But all was not lost as he leaned on his skills and his will to survive. He found his living in what most of us consider to be waste. Let's watch to find out more.
They are urged to be recycled, but a lot of times simply discarded. You may pick one up to help you with the groceries, stock unused or unwanted items, but never to make a living. That is where you and Gawain James differ.
I'm Gawain James, and I'm the cardboard master. None like me. I grew up drawing, painting, and all these things, but I didn't know I could make stuff from cardboard.
It was Bob Marley who said, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice." This was the attitude Gawain developed when he started his career to become what he calls the cardboard master. The husband and father of one worked in the hotel industry as a manager for almost 2 decades when health began to wane. Gawain started to fall ill on the job sometime in 2019. He recounts that an ambulance would come get him sometimes 3 times in a week while at work. The doctors didn't know what exactly the problem was, but after a year, they learned it was lupus. Then the COVID-19 pandemic struck the world, and Gawain too. Understanding that his health took precedence, he left his job. But the breadwinner had concerns about filling the gap. Opportunity came by way of him just doing what any loving father does.
My son got a homework from school, and I decided I was going to make the project. However, after creating the project, I realized that this was really good. This was looking good, and posted on my WhatsApp status that a person started to comment on it, and I said, you know what, maybe I can try this. And then there was others influencing me. Give this a try, man, maybe this is you.
And it was. He got his first official client when a pageant mom commissioned his services for her daughter's pageant costume. And ever since then it has been
amazing. Amazing. Because of that one, I got another one for a different pageant, and it's just been going on from that. Sometimes I post, persons see, like, and then I'll get other clients through that. Or, you know, some persons just word of mouth. You know, persons spreading it. Hey, this guy, you know, he's very good at this, and it goes on from there.
It has been 2 years since his new profession began, and the bulk of his job orders are from parents wanting him to do school projects for their children. However, his clients do not stop with parents. Teachers too are among his patrons. And he may be going back into the hotel industry, only not in the same capacity.
They want me, for example, to show clients how to make stuff from these used materials, and they are asking me to create stage props or any little thing that can come from the cardboard.
And if you're wondering how lucrative this recycling business is, just know that this one-time manager is making a living.
When I decided to try it, I wasn't thinking about money. I was just doing a thing. And then afterwards, then you see what comes up, what happens next. They'll say, wait, hotel manager left, come on my yard, we make things out of cardboard, you know. And that talk actually was ringing around for a few. But then afterwards, when persons see what it is, you know, definitely I see persons appreciating it, and it's been great so far.
The two-man business continues to grow with the help of his wife, Rochelle.
She has her own profession, but definitely I think she decided to give me a hand, and she saw how stressful it was on me, and I really needed some help. And she decided to pitch in to help with the painting.
At first, I was just keeping company. So when he was up late at night, I would stay up with him just to keep his company, until eventually I started doing the paintings for him so that the work could be done faster.
I showed her little moves here and there, and then she just perfect.
He hopes to become an inspiration for those who may not want to go into conventional professions.
When you ask somebody what you want to become when you grow up, they'll say a lawyer, a doctor, a police, and you hear all these high names. You know, but it also shows kids that if just in case you don't become a lawyer or a doctor, you can become something great with your hands, you know, with the talent that you're given.
Once you believe in yourself and you think that you have this talent, don't let anyone stop you from going for what you want to go for. Just believe in yourself and just go for it.
Words not just for her husband and business partner, but for all creatives not realizing that they can turn their talents into profits. Gawain credits not just his family for his fortunes, but he wants the world to know it is God that continues to sustain him.
We've come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this and any other, feel free to log on to our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.